Today I'm going to talk to you about you and your employer. I hope this information can help someone in the workforce. My Xperience Chat. Are you going to be ready when someone takes away your bread and butter? What does bread and butter mean? If you have to go to work to earn a living, to pay your bills, and take care of yourself or your family, then you should know what bread and butter means. Some of us are either self-employed or employed by somebody or some company. Most of us treasure our jobs because they are our livelihood. Without those jobs we work in, we would not be able to take care of ourselves, our families, go on vacation, and have fun. I would like to share with you what I refer to as a worker's checklist. Do you work hard, or do you just go to work and do what you're asked to do? Do you work smart? Are you creative at work? Do you try to do extra and try to find ways to make your work easier? And learn everything that you can learn in your workplace so that you can use it when and if you need the experience someday somewhere else? Or use it to bargain with your bosses for promotion and salary increases? Do you ask questions about the company's or employer's performance? Do you invest in company stocks? For example, 401k, 403b, if it is offered in your job? Do you have financial security of at least 3 months of salary saved? Do you have contacts for multiple agencies, occasionally checking with them to see what is out there in the workforce? Do you have an updated resume, even if doing well in whatever position you're in, and are positively sure you'll be employed as long as the company's in business? Do you go on interviews just to practice your skills and know what is out there in other companies? Are you growing with the company you work for? Do you have a network of people who can look out for you when you decide to change jobs or career? Do you have personal references you can use for your next job? Do you have plan B or an alternative plan if suddenly the company you work for goes belly up or your bread and butter is taken away from you? Do you have any skills? Have you kept those skills alive, or are they dormant? Do you have a passion for something that you can lean on when an employer no longer has use for your services? And are you always thinking ahead so that rather than the employer saying, "I no longer need you," you can tell your employer, "You no longer need him"? I believe it is important for every working person to create a checklist for themselves and update it occasionally. You know, most of us join the workforce and get jobs in companies and think those jobs are either death doer's part, or as workers, we are irreplaceable. Let's face it. In today's world where companies look to save money, use cheap labor, move from city to city, from continent to continent, and are constantly in search of energetic college graduates with new ideas, anything can happen. I have heard people talk about how they had no idea the company they worked for was having problems until they reported to work one day and found, for example, the workplace was closed permanently. Some companies do what is called cost savings and restructuring. Then you notice an elimination of departments or a division because they have decided to outsource those functions. What if you are in that department or division which has now been outsourced? Are you going to be ready? What if you get escorted out of your job, out of your workplace at the end of your workday because your services are no longer needed? The company has found a replacement for you. Or the person you were training now, yesterday, will be assigned your duties tomorrow. What if you get a phone call from your employer telling you, please do not come into work tomorrow because we just found out the provider has cut funding for the project you're working on? This actually happened to me when I was consulting for a non-profit organization in Yonkers, New York. I had been working with the nonprofit for a month. The agency representing our team had told us the project would last several months. Every day, the team worked together, and there was no indication from within that there was any financial problem. One evening though, at around 7 p.m. after work, I was just settling at home when I received a phone call from the agency coordinator. He asked me whether the controller at the nonprofit office had mentioned anything to the team during the day. I told him that she had not spoken to the team. Then he told me that he had just received a phone call from the controller informing him that the provider had cut funding for the project we were working on. So, please do not go back to the office tomorrow. Wow, I thought. What if this was my only source of income? Okay, I thought again, I will be okay. But I wondered what the other workers were going to do. You see, as for me, it was after 9/11 that I changed my way of thinking about employers. I decided that I should always have a backup plan if one gig fails, because I had a family to take care of and a mortgage to pay. So when 9/11 happened, I was working on Wall Street in New York City as an assistant vice president at IBJ Schroeder Bank and Trust Company in the financial control division. Then suddenly, I lost my job of 14 years I had been working, taking part in projects, learning whatever I could learn, learning whatever was thrown at me, so that when and if I was thrown to the wolves, I would be able to survive anywhere. During those 14 years, I kept my resume active with many agencies in New York City. I occasionally went on interviews. While working at IBJ Schroeder, I even got 2 job offers. But my manager did not want me to leave the company. So she negotiated with the controller and CFO to match the offer that had been given to me by those companies at separate times so that I could stay on at IBJ Schroeder. That's how I learned that employers usually have enough reserves to invest in employees they want to keep in their company. So, this is my advice. Don't be shy to ask for a raise if you know your performance is worth a raise. Fast forward. After 9/11, the bank lost so much money and so decided to sell and transfer out remaining businesses. The bank employees were laid off. As for me, I decided to go back to school and get a certificate in nursing because I know nursing is a job that will always be around. This would become my backup plan or plan B. That's why when the agency called me that night at 7 p.m. to tell me not to go back to the nonprofit office, I knew I'd be okay. I was also employed full-time as a night nurse. I had taken the consulting job because I needed extra income and I wanted to keep my accounting skills active. My backup plan kept my income source uninterrupted until I was able to get another job. So, I ask again, are you going to be ready when someone takes away your bread and butter? You know, what we should keep in mind is that we can have a love and hate relationship with the companies we work with. Therefore, we love our jobs. Whether we love our jobs or not, we should always be prepared. We can do so much for the companies we work for, but we should also think about ourselves, our families, because at the end of the day, when companies decide they no longer need you, they will not think twice to let go of you. This is why we should take time to think of all the ways to be prepared for when and if someone takes away our bread and butter. My message: once you are employed by any company or institution, do not get too comfortable. Just because. Stay alert, be curious, keep an open mind, educate yourself, and stay connected with what is happening in the world outside of your environment. Outside of your work environment, there's so much more. The company you work for is not the world. Thank you.